Shabbat Shalom. Kohala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. And Shabbat Shalom to all the brothers out pushing the word in truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. All right, I'm the brother Yahshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily update, first one of this week. All right, I'm going to keep it short and go all the way through Friday. So what went on over the weekend? More of the same. A lot of saber rattling, a lot of moving of equipment. All right. It looks like we're going to war, but maybe not. All right. And we'll see what the pundits say. All right. But eventually we will go to war. All right. Will it be now? We'll see. All right. But there's a sequence of events that must happen before they declare World War. I declare war. Remember the card game? All right. Anyway, so this is Joel 3. All right. And this is the Most High saying this. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Okay. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. What does that mean? All right. Does Cuba have any nuclear missiles? Well, they do now. Does Venezuela have any nuclear missiles? Well, they do now. Why? Because Vladimir sent some over there. Well, those are Russia's nuclear. Yes, they are. So does Iran have any nuclear missiles? Of course they do. Let the weak, Cuba, don't mess with Cuba, say I am strong. Don't mess with Venezuela. Don't mess with the Carmanians. That's the Persians or the Iranians. Okay? Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. They're the cause that mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat. Okay, so this Yahweh-Shaphat, Yahweh, or Jehosa, or Jehovah, is whatever they're trying to say. Shaphat means judgment. God's judgment. Okay. For there will I sit to what? Judgment. All the heathen round about. Okay, so this is describing World War III. That will happen. Okay, but of course, this devil, he's got to take that and try to flip it into his timeline, if you will. All right, because we know what they're trying to do. They still, what does the scandemic just go away because World War III, or is there something else going on? All right, so anyway, with that, we'll watch a couple of clips here. Let's start with this guy, Military and Foreign Affairs Network. This is today, January 24th, Ukraine, Russia. Countdown to what? Armageddon. Harmageddon. Valley of the Troops. Okay. So let's watch this. And we're going to stop in between. I'm going to show you something. Then we'll go back to what. This is just a little update. His update. Because he gets some headlines from these different publications. And he factors them in. And I'm going to stop this and show you what I've seen that is of relevance. So go ahead and play this. The Voice of Reason.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the Voice of Reason. Today, January 24th, 2022, we are continuing our coverage of the crisis between Ukraine and Russia, and obviously the West as well. But as of today, you look at the headlines and you think World War III is about to break out. And I guess the question is it?
Is it?
Or is it not?
Is it not?
And at this point, us at MFan, I would really not be surprised either way, tell you the truth. We could see a limited incursion by the Russians into Ukraine. We could see an all out possible invasion with the intent of seizing the entirety of Ukraine by the Russian Federation. And but again, would not also be surprised if in fact we observed nothing at all. And again,
Boom. All right. I wanted to hear that because I did listen to part of it. With that being said, let's watch this video here. Where is it? Let's see. That's not it. Okay, let's watch this. This happened yesterday. S2 Underground. And I covered this in a video I made right before this World War III Daily Update. And it's called, Is Vlad Wagging the Dog? All right? Because this information goes into what could be a plot to make you believe that they're going to war while actually they're doing something different, right? Which is written in the Bible. And what is that? That is to get to get you to go along with the NWO. All right? NWO, the W means world. That word is in WW3. You understand? Because it consists of all countries coming together to do something. WW3, they're all coming together to fight against each other. NWO, that's includes everybody, all countries coming together to rule the world together in something that hasn't been done before, not since the Tower of Babel. Okay? Now, before they destroy each other in World War III, because God is going to make them, right? They have their own plans. What is that? That's to get that microchip in your hand. All right? We won't go into it, but I probably said enough for them to, strike me anyway. But could this be part of that? You have to consider. Let's watch this.
It actually happened quite a while ago, but is becoming more relevant with the times. Is Russia passing legislation, or rather guidance, regarding mass graves?
What? It says Russia legislation regarding mass graves. He's going to go back to December 20th. They already got it in place. Do they already know back in December that they're going to war? A war that is going to require mass graves? They hadn't had these talks yet, right? How do they know that the talks will produce, some sort of ceasefire, that they won't have to go to war? All right? But they're already passing legislation to do some, what do they call that? What were them camps in World War II? Right? You understand what I'm saying? What is this? They already know that they're going to need these things? Or is this part of a different agenda? Right? And they're masking, right? They're using this supposed war, right? Go watch Wag the Dog. Go watch the trailer for a 97 movie. Dustin Hoffman, Wag the Dog. Go watch that. All right? And see what I'm talking about. All right? Is this a ruse to do something that they all agree on? Are all these other countries passing legislation regarding mass graves? What does the Georgia Guidestones, What's the first commandment of the Georgia Guidestones? All right, it's dealing with mass graves. All right, about how you're going to maintain the population. What is it going to take to maintain the population 7 times lower than it is right now? Okay, it's going to require mass graves. So, is this just a ruse? All right, because they're actually performing a different operation, which will eventually turn into an actual war. All right, now let's let him talk.
This is something that happened back in December. Actually, on December 20th, this was finally approved. And this is you can actually read it yourself if you speak Russian. For those of you who don't, this is coming from the Russian Civil Defense, and the translated title is "The Urgent Burial of Corpses in Wartime and Peacetime." The general regulations for this.
He said wartime and peacetime. Okay, might not be a war, but you still might need some mass graves, right? What does that mean?
This is something that's kind of interesting because this is something that you would expect from Cold War Russia, right? Like that they very much love their psyops.
They're what? They're psyops. This could be a psyop. This so-called uh, amassing troops, right? What about the NWO? What about their plans that they're all together on? Okay, that doesn't really include fighting each other, does it? No. Okay, maybe this is just a dog wagging, if you will, to get you to believe there's a war so that the so-called quote unquote mass casualties, right, that start showing up because you didn't want to play ball, then it's kind of, like a parallel drill, if you will, right? That's how they get out up there. All right, listen.
So you would expect Moscow to pass something like this or put forth regulations regarding mass graves of civilians and things like that as a scare tactic, right? That
Oh, civilians. Oh, there were civilian casualties. Right. Whatever.
you'd normally think this of. Well, they actually haven't been. They did this very quietly. So, me personally, I'm kind of on the fence as to the psyop value of this because no Western media has picked this up. Very few people have actually followed, what the Duma does and what regulations are passed by various government agencies within Russia, and this was quietly done. Only a couple of places I've seen actually have actually figured this out and read the documents. It's only a 20-page document, but since it's in Russian, most people can't read it. But in any case, I think it's very interesting that it's more. I think that it's less of a psyop and more of a logistical constraint. Right, this is a logistical attempt to realize that hey, Russia saw. At least in the conflict that has happened already in Ukraine, they saw a lot of casualties. You also have to remember Russia is dealing with the Chechen War, Grozny, places like that, in which they have a lot of experience with conflicts and fighting in civilian urbanized areas, and they've seen a lot of casualties. So they're starting to, cross their T's and dot their I's when it comes to logistics of so many casualties coming out.
Just now, well, since they've been doing all of that, they haven't needed legislation for this. This is something on a different level. So anyway, I thought we'd take a look at that. Now we'll go back to this guy, the voice of reason. We'll let him bring us up to date on what could, may, or may not be happening from his own mouth, right?
Is just the distrust that I personally have with certain aspects of the mainstream media and its reporting.
You hear that? Okay, so if if this is what they're saying on mainstream, oh, we're going to war, we're going to war, we're going to war. Well, you have to consider that we're not. Okay, that this could be a ruse for something that they actually want. They don't want no damn war. Who wants a war between Russia and the United States, which is really what this is about. It's about a proxy war. Okay, all that could culminate in is mutually assured destruction, and they don't want that. All right. Now that's what's going to happen because the one you know as God, whose name is Yahweh, right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. He is going to harden their hearts and make them fight each other. And after he's made them fight each other, he's going to make them fight against him, his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, and the angels. His name is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is the Hebrew way of saying God in the name of Jesus, if you will. All right? That's what's going on. Okay? But their hearts will be hardened. So this might not be the war after all. This might be the ruse, all right? Before the war. The war will happen, all right? Let's let him talk and bring it up.
But let's look at some of these reports coming in from around the world about the ongoing crisis. So first, we'll just go straight down the headlines here. Let's see here. UATV, Russia moves against Ukraine, latest updates. GB News, Russia invasion of Ukraine imminent, warns Defense Committee chair as Western powers run out of road. Newsweek, Chinese military jets fly near Taiwan as U.S. distracted by Ukraine. It's a little interesting. Just Security, as Putin lines Ukraine border with Russian troops, is there a China factor? Question mark. Sky News, West getting ready for the worst as prospect of Russian invasion grows. Again, Sky News. Let's see here. PBS Online, U.S. orders families of Ukraine embassy to leave country as war fears mount. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's see, NATO press release, Secretary General discusses Russian military buildup, NATO's open door policy with Finland and Sweden. Let's see, Radio Free Europe, Ukraine Foreign Minister, Euro-Atlantic security will be decided in Ukraine. And it just kind of goes on. The Ukraine, the national U.S. says 127,000 Russian troops are now at Ukraine border. The Telegraph from out of UK, Monday evening, UK news brief. Boris Johnson, bloody invasion, warning to Russia over Ukraine. Biden's Ukraine problem, National Review, and yeah, it just goes on and on. And earlier there was more reports coming in about the possible deployment of additional U.S. forces. We have seen in these news blurbs anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 additional U.S. forces possibly being deployed to Romania, and obviously also the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So again, it would also appear that the Biden administration is starting to change its stance a bit in terms of its deployment strategy. And it would appear that he is continuing to be consulted by the Defense Department in terms of what the United States should do or should not do. I would say at this point, moving forces into the Baltics is probably not a very wise decision, unless you're, again, looking for some sort of reforger operation, which would be a huge escalation for at least the Russian side. But moving maybe a heavy brigade, or who knows what they're thinking about moving into the Baltics, but anything less than a heavy brigade is probably not prudent. And why do I say that? Well, if things start to really turn south and we see fighting heavy fighting take place in Ukraine. And as we know, fighting sometimes can expand and widen. And if we see that take place and we see some sort of eventual move by the Russians into the Baltics, as again, in game is if Putin seizes Ukraine, then the West is going to reinforce the Baltics. And then the question is the Russians going to tolerate that? Do they want that sort of situation where they're maybe having anywhere from 1 to 3 heavy brigades stationed both in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, and all 3 of the Baltic states? So I think the answer to that would be no. And then at some point, quite possibly, we would see an operation by the Russians into the Baltic state. Again, if this really lets loose and we start to see heavy fighting, I think that is a definite possibility. Now,
And not only that, all right, if it does get heavy in this area, what do you think China's going to do? China's going to launch their business over there in the South China Sea, all right? And it's going to stretch Rome, if you will, thin again. And then you got Iran and the Israelis. What's going to happen? Okay? And it is going to happen. The question is when. All right. So anyway, with that being said, let's take a look at a couple of channels. Let's start right here with Deep Journal. We might not go into anything. We'll just read a couple of headlines. 4 hours ago, Deep Journal channel, invasion begins. All right. Now, is all of this, rumors? 12 Su-35 fighter jets entered what? 0 point? Entered 0 point, 22 hours. Russian Murmansk BN shoot down. What they're saying is it's already started. U.S. deploys hundreds of M1A2 to the border. Those are tanks. 1 day ago, 2 Russian Tu-160 tried to enter Alaska. All right? This is World War. Now, just because they're moving and skirmishing right now doesn't mean that that's what this is. All right? We have to sit back and see, because what we're not going to do is we're not going to be deceived. All right? Let no man deceive you. Okay, so with that, what are we looking for? Deep. Let's get carrier pigeon here. 20 hours. Iran collapses with airstrikes. U.S. operation on Iranian ship. Right, that's probably Syria. Letting you know, what is U.S. doing over here? Well, they're fighting. Okay? How can the U.S. conduct a war in 3 different theaters without being stretched too thin? Where is the draft? That's how you're going to know that this thing is real. When they start drafting people, right, because you need troops, all right, and even then, it could be just to see who's going to roll with the program and who, or we've drafted you and you have to take your shots. Okay? See how this thing is adding up? All right, that's the carrier pigeon. Let's look at secret files. Who's been lagging lately? Let's see. Are you up to date? Where you at? 3 days ago. We don't even need that. Okay? So that's about it. All right, for today. Let's see. Is there one more? There's something that I used to go to. What is it? Maybe that's it. Foreign affairs, rock solid. Pedro. Karen go ahead and edit. Oh, here, special. Anything new here? No. A month ago. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so that's good enough for today. We'll see you tomorrow. We hope that the elect are edified, and we're going to say Shabbat Shalom.